the Irish guy, and right, today I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find each team's biggest letdown this season. The player I thought would be such a monster for them, only to just be blah. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus. The recent troubles of Gabriel Jesus make me question if I even understand the sport at all. This man is giving me an existential crisis, like when Buzz Lightyear jumped up the stairs, shattered his pelvis, and was soon sipping tea in a dress. That is me. When I just look at how soggy mashed potato Jesus has been at Arsenal. Lads, I thought he was an utter goal machine, trapped on the Man City bench and just waiting to be unleashed. But within weeks of rejecting Chelsea and signing for Arsenal 2 years ago, here he was exploding with 7 goals in pre-season. I thought he was a 30-goal-a-season golden boot contender. He scored 11 in his first season. Okay, it's a bit underwhelming. Imagine him ringing home and confessing to his mum that he scored less than Harvey Barnes. I mean, she probably wouldn't even bother sending him a birthday present after that. Just send him a jar of mud instead. That's all he deserves. But this season, this truly is pathetic. 4 goals, 4 Premier League goals in 26 games, 8 in all competitions. This is a Brazil number 9. He is supposed to be the man. And it started well this season. He was scoring in a win over Manchester United in just his second game. But since then, he has looked like a frightened bunny rabbit lurking around the penalty spot. This is a 4-time Premier League champion who has scored less goals than Eddie Nketiah. He's level on goals with Ben White. If I was him, I'd be so embarrassed to mope into training every day with those stats. Instead, I'd probably just be spending this morning sitting in the car park eating ice cream off the steering wheel. Honestly, Alexander Lacazette was clearly a better finisher. Aston Villa, Moussa Diaby. Look, you might think that I am being incredibly harsh here. Aston Villa's new flash signing for Bayer Leverkusen. He's been good, right? 10 goals and 9 assists. On paper, that looks great for a right winger. But don't forget, this is spread over more than 50 games. Look, it is still decent. But don't forget, this guy was arguably Leverkusen's best player last season. 14 goals and 11 assists from the wing. An absolute pace monster. I thought he would have been Villa's best player by a mile. But nah, his form has been patchy. He averages a goal contribution in the Premier League every 149 minutes. He's been dropped to the bench 17 times this season. He immediately lost his place in the team to Middlesbrough winger Morgan Rogers when he came through the door in January. Look, Diaby has been fine. And this is my fault because I expected him to have Cole Palmer numbers this season. So no, don't blame the PSG reject, okay? Blame me, alright? I thought he was better than he was. Bournemouth, Max Aarons. Again, I blame myself here for having the sensibilities of a pig, because last summer I thought that Max Aarons going from Norwich to Bournemouth for just £7 million was a coup. And why did I think that? Maybe because the media has been brainwashing us for nearly half a decade now, telling us that Aarons was a budding young right-back superstar. In 2019, he was apparently on Man United's shopping list. Yeah, calm down, so was Sean Longstaff. I mean, in September 2020, both Bayern Munich and Barcelona were locked in talks with Norwich. In the end, he was just forced to stay at Carrow Road. In the championship, I don't know how his agent didn't just angrily storm to Delia Smith's office and poo on her rice cakes in a fit of rage. But he linked up with Bournemouth last summer at the age of 23, and with ex-AC Milan left-back Milos Kerkez at left-back, I thought they were going to be like a mini Trent Robertson double act. A devastating full-back pair? Nah, in reality, Aarons wasn't ever present for Bournemouth's rotten start, then conveniently injured himself for their upturn in form, and then hasn't really been able to get back into the team. He has been fit since March, and yet, he's been given a combined 80 minutes of Premier League football spread over the last 9 games. 2 of those matches were 1-minute cameos. Of his 19 league games for Bournemouth, Aarons has lost 11. I mean, those defeats included 2 4-0s and 1 6-1. Lads, poor old Aarons has only started in 2 wins all season against Burnley and Newcastle. That is it. This bloke is supposed to be the star name, flying the flag for the Aarons family now. After his cousin Rolando, he's now just a 28-year-old lump of undigested broccoli playing in sloggy toilet stadiums in Slovenia. But now this Aarons is also now about as relevant as the wart on my grandmother's thigh. Brentford, Ivan Toney. Again, this is harsh because Ivan Toney was banned for the first half of the season. And lads, this is my fault because I bought into the scary hype. Tony was in the media telling podcasts that he was going to return better than ever, that he had been training like a demon in isolation, that he was angry now and ready to be an elite, a superhuman version of himself. To me, I believed it. The way he was talking, he sounded like Batman in Bane's pit. His determined words made me think,
oh wow, this bloke means business.
And yeah, he did score 4 goals in his first 5 games back, but shots. Nothing since. 0 goals in his last 11 games, which is actually his worst goal drought in football since he was at Wigan in 2017. Brighton Ansu Fati. Is anybody else disappointed with what Ansu Fati has done at Brighton? Remember when this former Teenage Barcelona superstar rocked up at the Seagulls on loan last summer, with the club stealing him from under the noses of Tottenham? It looked like a huge coup. This guy was hailed as the next Messi during lockdown. He was scoring for Barcelona at 16. He was the original Lamine Yamal. Seeing him now at Brighton, it looked more bizarre than seeing Santa Claus spooning with your grandma on the couch. I thought he would be incredible in the Premier League, but his end product has been awful. 4 goals and 1 assist in 29 matches. Just 2 goals and 0 assists in the Prem. Yes, he picked up an annoying calf injury that ruled him out for nearly 2 months halfway through, but I don't care. This Barcelona megastar has completed the full 90 minutes once in a defeat to AEK Athens at home. He's played less than 500 minutes in the Premier League. He has been on the Premier League pitch for the length of about the first 3 Harry Potter films. Of the last 9 league games, Fati has played 32 minutes and rotted on the bench for 5 full games. You know what this reminds me of? Giovanni Dos Santos. Somebody marketed as a mini Ronaldinho while at Barcelona 15 years ago. I thought him joining Tottenham in 2008 was a coup. Price up sticking him and Luka Modric in the same midfield. Excuse me whilst I dribble all over my toes. Nah, within a year, he was playing for Ipswich Town on loan. Ah, sorry lads, but I haven't been more shocked by a fatty since Susan Ball's audition. Burnley James Trafford. Oh, James Trafford. This has been awful. Last summer, the man was the king of the world. No longer was he just semi-famous on the internet for being marketed as Fogden's twin. He was winning the European Under-21 Championships for England without conceding a goal. He even correctly predicted that he would save a penalty in the final against Spain. So he goes to Burnley for £15 million at the age of just 20. And he was terrible. He conceded so many goals, was dropped in January, and despite how bad Ariana Muric has been instead, like literally, he's been producing howlers you wouldn't see in under 12s football. If I was a goalkeeper and I'd let a back pass squirm under my foot and into the net, I mean, forget about everyone going for ice cream after the match. No, the coach would probably instruct my mum to starve me for a week. Look, it isn't over for Trafford. Ireland #1 Gavin Bazunu was also dropped by Southampton for the final chunk of last season, and he took his place back after relegation. So maybe Vince company is simply just trying to preserve his confidence by taking him out of the dogfight, but still, it hasn't been good, JT. Chelsea, Reece James. Reece James is a world-class defender, the only true world-class player that Chelsea have in their squad, and after an injury hit few years, here you are starting the season fully fit against Liverpool on the opening day. With a full preseason behind him, this is going to be the campaign where James establishes himself as England's first choice right back. Now, a hamstring injury made him sit out a month early doors. He then comes back into the team, being part of a defense who conceded 8 goals in 2 games against Man City and Newcastle. Oh yeah, and he was also stupidly sent off at St James's Park. He then missed 5 months through surgery, came back against Nottingham Forest last week, set up the winning goal. Yes, James was back, finally! He comes on against Brighton the next week and gets sent off for doing a stupid, petulant Beckham kick whilst he's on the floor. Yeah. He has played 420 minutes all season long and has still managed to cram in 2 stupid red cards. I haven't been this frustrated with a James since he did a video reacting to mean comments. Crystal Palace, Mateus Franca. Mateus Franca is a Brazil wonder kid who was linked with Real Madrid last year. Yeah, he's gone to Crystal Palace, barely played under Roy Hodgson, and now under Oliver Glasner. It's even worse. He doesn't even make the matchday squad. Is he still alive? Everton, Arnaut Danjuma. All this fuss over nothing. Remember last season when Arnaut Danjuma ditched the move to Everton in favour of joining Spurs on loan from Villarreal instead? He finally went to Goodison Park last summer, again on loan, and oh, he's been pointless beyond belief. Pretty rubbish end product in his first 7 games. And then Sean Dyche gave up on him. Look at this chunk of games where he spent 10 out of 12 games rooted to the bench without even a sniff of getting on. Look, he has been such a non-entity in the second half of the season. I was convinced that he'd secured another loan move away in January. I thought he must be somewhere like PSV. No, he is still at Everton. He just never plays. He hasn't done since January. There were 9 games where he didn't make the squad. Must have been injured, but since then, for the last 6 games, he hasn't even been asked to come off the bench. For someone who scored 16 goals in a season for Villarreal not too long ago, that is embarrassing. Fulham, Armando Broja. What was the point? Armando Broja was getting more minutes in the Chelsea first team before Christmas. Way more minutes than now. While at Fulham, These have been his Premier League appearances. 16 minutes, 15 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minutes, and 23 minutes. What was the point? Remember 2 years ago when he was on loan to Southampton and looked like the next superstar? He's championship standard, isn't he? Liverpool, Dominik Szoboszlai. These might seem harsh, but lads, words cannot express just how amazing I thought Dominik Szoboszlai would be for Liverpool this season. I even did an entire video gassing him up. Everything Martin Odegaard has been for Arsenal this season, I thought that was going to be Szoboszlai after his £60 million move from Leipzig. I thought he'd be Liverpool's number 10 and would be sensational. Nah, he's instead played as a number 8 and been alright, I guess. Look, he had a great start to his Liverpool career, of course, but by December, his legs were looking sluggish and heavy. There was no creative spark, and after coming back from a month-long injury in February, I think he's been really poor. And clearly Klopp thinks so too, because he started on the bench 6 out of the last 11 league games. He was atrocious in the Merseyside derby defeat, which is unforgivable. He's lost his place in the team, and he looks like what Jordan Henderson is at Ajax. About as unremarkable as peanut butter toast. Sorry, Szoboszlai, but I expected way more. As far as debut seasons go, it's very meh. He's not about as invisible as Naby Keita used to be. Luton Town, Petty Roddick Panzo. Look, this is my own fault. I just wanted to see a fairy tale moment. When I watched Luton Town get promoted last season, the big standout story to me was Petty Roddick Panzo. He had just completed a Goliath, impossible journey from the lower leagues. This West Ham reject to join Luton in the conference. His wages were probably just, what, a daily tenner to get a cheeseburger from the van parked across the road from the training ground. The fact he has climbed up, what, 5 divisions with the same club, that is mental. It's like if Anthony Ford is still at Wrexham when they get into the Premier League. I wanted a goal, just one goal from Mpanzu this season. I know he's a defensive midfielder, but so? A goal in the Premier League is surely the most impossible career dream that he ever had. To score in the Premier League for the same club that he joined when the toilets didn't flush, that would have been one of the most miraculous stories in the history of the league. But now, he didn't score, and he's since rotted on the bench a lot. Please, Luton, if you get a penalty on Sunday, just give it to him. Man City, Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish won a treble last season as a regular starter. Yeah, I know the start of last season was a bit embarrassing for him, considering how good Mikel Miron was playing, but Grealish, oh, he did have the last laugh and then tried to poison his liver for a month. Surely this would be the season where he kicks on and boosts his stats? Nope. I'm sorry, but 3 goals and 3 assists in 36 games for a £100 million star is a disgrace. I remember when Man City bid £100 million for Kaka in 2009. Imagine if he had produced those numbers in a City shirt. He'd be seen as the biggest ever waste of cash. Price up, he scored 29 goals and assisted 39 in just 120 games for Real Madrid. And even then he was still seen as a flop. Sorry, Jack, but I have not been impressed. Man United, Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has had an awful season. Everyone knows it. I mean, come on, last season, he'd scored 30 goals and registered 10 assists in 56 games. Those are almost Thierry Henry numbers. That was spectacular. The bloke had battled back from the Euro 2020 penalty miss in style. He was pointing to his head so many times, he must have had arthritis in his index finger. I mean, to be fair, it's still better than Dan Burns' face. Lads, did nobody else realize that that gargoyle left back only has 4 fingers on one hand? How did I not know this? Did you? And I didn't think it was possible for him to look any more like Frankenstein. But yeah, Rashford, he looks like a problem child now. 8 goals and 5 assists in 41 matches. Yes, I get that the media made a huge circus out of his trip to Belfast, but still, his numbers, his performances have been rubbish. Surely he's just lost his spot in England's squad for the Euros, which is sad because he's still only 26. Lads, Saka, Rashford and Sancho were all sending a powerful message in 2021, bouncing back after those haunting penalty misses for England to crush the haters. That's what all this head pointing's been about, right? But what a horrible look it'll be when the history books show that at the next Euros, 2 out of those 3 other star talents don't even make the squad. On paper, it will look like only Saka managed to recover, and they've all just been Darius Vasselled. Anyone get that reference? Anyone? He missed that penalty at Euro 2004 and was never seen again. Newcastle, Kieran Trippier. At the start of last season, I did not think that I'd be including Kieran Trippier in this sort of list. You know what? I didn't even see this drop off in form in December. Trippier was world class for the first few months of the season. He got a hat-trick of assists at Sheffield United. I thought he was brilliant in a 0-0 draw at AC Milan and the 4-1 win over PSG in the Champions League. He was also great in home wins over Aston Villa, Arsenal, Chelsea and Man United. He was great. Since then, he's been dreadful. He had a horrendous December, getting grilled like fried meatloaf in defeats against Everton, Tottenham, Luton, Nottingham Forest and Man City by an aggregate score of 14 goals to 4. awful. He was even offered an escape route to Bayern Munich in January, and I think he wanted to go, but he is finished. He played in games where Newcastle conceded 4 against Luton and Arsenal. He was pretty rubbish at Old Trafford this week. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot. He cost Newcastle a cup final, stupidly messing up a back pass in the final minutes, with Newcastle cruising 1-0 up at Stamford Bridge in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. Oh yeah, and he also missed a penalty in the shootout. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Trippier should not be starting games for Newcastle anymore. And considering he still has 11 assists this season, I know that's a wild call. Nottingham Forest Gio Reyna. In 2 years' time, nobody is ever going to remember that Nottingham Forest once had Gio Reyna on loan. In the same way nobody remembers that Chelsea had Ricardo Quaresma once upon a time. I used to love that guy. But as considering he is a USA megastar, despite being born in Sunderland, the fact I was watching him play Champions League football just half an hour from where he was born this season, to then see him move to Forest in January, on loan from Borussia Dortmund, I thought he would be special. Now, he started just 2 games, 0 goals, 1 assist, very, very meh. But to be honest, from what we know about this guy, he's probably sulking to have missed out on the Champions League final party. Sheffield United, all of them. Next, Tottenham, James Maddison. This sounds crazy, I know, but am I the only one who feels let down by James Maddison? Don't get it wrong, okay? If you had done a team of the season in December, oh, he'd be in it. He had an electric start at Spurs. No defeats in his first 10 league games, 5 goals and 3 assists. Tottenham looks certain to qualify for the Champions League. He then sits out 2 months with an injury, comes back, and has not been the same, not even close. 1 goal and 3 assists in the last 19 games, but it's the last 6 weeks where he's been truly hopeless. Spurs have lost 5 of the last 6 games, right? That is relegation form, and Maddison has been anonymous. This is like a year ago, where he contributed pretty much nothing between February and April for a Leicester team who were losing every week. This has been that version of Maddison. Just some helpless attacking midfielder who's given up on his teammates and can't be bothered retrieving the ball himself. This must be so frustrating. This reminds me of Gini Wijnaldum during his final months at Newcastle. So much talent, but he was the invisible man. Sorry, Maddison, but poor. West Ham, Calvin Phillips. I don't even need to justify this. He's been a complete and utter mess. Wolves, Pedro Neto. Pedro Neto has been brilliant when he's played this season. An absolute live wire on the wing. So many assists. But he's missed half of the season with a wonky hamstring. For Wolves fans, that is a letdown. Anyway, that's the review. Let me know what has been your biggest letdown. Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.